Okay, what we're going to look at doing is creating the BSmash program, which is like a cookie clicker program from scratch. So once the program opens, you need to create a new XCode project. Now this is different to some of the older ones and what we do now. You've got to make sure that you select the iOS, because we're making an iOS app. The new iPhone and iPads all have different operating systems, so we'll see this grow as time goes on. So make sure iOS is selected, we're making an app, and then click on next. It's going to bring up a whole lot of information. Depending on the update, you're going to have another little indicator in here, but we don't need to worry about it. We need to give it a product name, so I'm just going to call this Beast Cookie Clicker. Now that's because I've got a couple of BSmashes in there. Make sure that your interface is Storyboard and not Swift UI. And also the language is in Swift and not Objective-C. You can have these checked or not checked. I'll just check it because that's, I think, the normal default that you'll see on your computer. Click on next. It's going to ask where you want to save it, so make sure you've got a folder on your desktop called XCode. It's going to build that folder called Beast Cookie Clicker in here. You'll see when I hit create, see the folder's created, and this is going to build that project in that folder. So once we get here, sometimes it has the bundle identifier and it may throw a message up saying it needs some other sort of authentication. Just click on cancel. You don't need to worry about that at the moment. But on the left hand side, if you click the folder, this is the main folder info, and you need to go to main. Now main is the actual desktop. So I'm just going to expand this out so we've got a bit more real estate since we're encoding it. And I'm also going to pull it down. First thing you need to do is make sure that your output, so when we run play up here to test it in the emulator, we need to make sure it's on the correct one. So adjust this up the top and pick something like the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. The reason for it is it's slightly smaller screen size in density, and therefore when we create the program, it's not going to use so much RAM. Down the bottom here is the actual the artboard size here, so click on iPhone and then go through also and select the iPhone 8 Plus. So this is the layout here. So this is our GUI. So we've done that. Under the view controller on the top left here, you'll find the coding. And then when you click on main, you can actually come back to this area. To add elements on the screen, you go up to the top right, there is a plus sign. Click on that, you can add a label. So this can be a title. So on the right hand side in the inspector type area, you can now change the name of it. So I can call this, I'm going to call it Beast Smash, and then you can change the default color if you want to. Click that down. There's a custom right at the bottom. If you click on custom right at the bottom of that pull down list, it'll make this little floating palette. Then you can actually go through and make whatever color you want. It's up to you what you would like. I might pick something like an eggshell sort of color, this one. And when you're happy with that, just close it. And you see that's in the custom color, and that's now become that. We can change the font size. If you click the T here, you can actually change its size. At the moment 17, I'm going to set it to 35 font. I'm happy with the system font, and you can customize all that if you want. When I move this around, you'll see some little lines come up. That center line there allows you to know where the center of the board is. Big issue is though, we need to lock it into position. So once you've selected the object, down the bottom here, there's a little cross hash. What we can do is put in these constraints. So this is 92 from the top, and from the left, I want it to be 109. Also, I can click the width and the height of the text box, and that will ensure that it maintains this position on the screen. So it uses an anchor to the top and one to the left. When you click add the 4 constraints, you'll see it build those. Now it will be in its position. So when I run the program now, I click on play up the top here, it'll actually open my emulator. Now my emulator is going to be the iPhone 8, which you can see on screen at the moment, or 8 Plus. It's now loading up. This is basically a mobile phone, and it's got the functionality of that. The other thing I love about this one, you don't have to use the hotkeys to move around. You can just click the button here to go back to the main screen. So we've got BSmash there. I can click that and close the app. Every time I want to run the app, I just push play up here, tell it to replace the existing app, and it runs it again, and here it is on screen. So then I can stop the emulator from running. That way I'm not using up all my memory. So this is my GUI. It's just got that. The next thing we need to do is have another label, and this is going to be our counter. So I'm going to place it on screen, and then I'm going to move it into the middle and change it to click count. Not that it's really going to do much at the moment. It's just going to be at the moment placeholder text. I'll change that in a second. I'm going to keep the color black at the moment. I'm going to change once again its font size. I'm going to up it to 50 so it looks really big, and go done, and just move that into the middle. Okay, so I've got that, but I need a button to click on. So what we can do is add a button. So click on the plus sign, grab the button up here, and we can drop that on stage. So we put it wherever we want it. We can then adjust the button. So what I'm going to do is actually change the background. So I've downloaded a transparent image, which I'm dragging now, and I'm going to drop into assets. Actually, you can just drop it here. No, click assets. Then you can drop it in there. So drop assets in. So the assets now here. So when I go back to main, if I click on the button and bring up its properties, I can then look at the background. What do we want to do? We actually want to change the image of this. So, here it is, image. So select image. It's now got all the images I've loaded in. You can see transparent beast. There it is. I want to ditch the text because I don't really want that now. So get rid of the word button. And now we've just got the button on the screen. Now the button's not going to do anything at the moment, but we need to put its alignment in. I can click on the A and go add missing constraints. And you see that puts them in, and same with this counter too, and go add missing constraints. And with the counter as well, you notice it's done the constraints relative to the B smash. I'm also going to center the text so the numbers appear in the middle. Now once I've set up my GUI, which is this done, I now need to go get up my assistant. So I click on these lines up the top and go assistant. Assistant is basically your code. So with this we need to hold down your option, click and hold down your control, click and drag, and above the function put that in. Now this is going to be the counter. Okay. Sometimes you use LBL counter and things like that. We also need a one for the outlet for the button. So this is BTN clicker. Okay, so I've done my two outlets, so we know that the program is going to be listening to these things on stage. Next thing I want to do is declare a variable, because we need to store the counter somewhere. So up in the top above here, we're going to set some global variables. So I'm just going to put 2 forward slashes in, which is a comment, and just put global variables. And then we're going to set this. So what we're going to have is counter, and that is going to be, we need to set a var first. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So var counter, and that's going to be equal, or it's going to be a type integer, because we're going to have a whole click. We can't have half a click, and then we're going to let that equal to 0. So that's going to default the program. Okay. Now, once we've done that, we now need to capture the clicks of the button. So once again, we're going to create another outlet, but this outlet's different. It's going down the bottom here. It's going to be an action one. And we need to give the function name. So what we're going to do is call this BTN clicker. And this will make a function. So you can see that there's a little function made here. And what we want to do is every time we click this, we want to go counter is equal to counter. Basically +1, so increment it. So once we've incremented it, we then want to put it back to here. So this is known as an outlet, and we need to talk to that one, and we gave it a name before with counter. So what we want to do is say LBL, or we didn't use the label, so we go counter with a capital C, and then we're going to actually talk to that and go .text. So this is known as a counter, but we want to talk to the text part of it, and we're going to let that be equal to pretty well the count of counter. Now counter itself is a numerical field, but the problem with the numerical field is the type for counter, the label, is actually a string. So we've actually got to convert that. So we've got to use a little thing that says string bracket counter. Therefore, counter is now a string. So take counter, turn it to a string, and let that equal to the text. So that should update there. So before we get any further though, let's just take this and say, well, on the load, so here, see this did load, view did load. Let's also make the counter 0 here, but I'm going to make it a char 0. So it's in quotes, that's different to the 0 up here, which is integer. Therefore, I don't have to change its type to string. And let's run the program now. So hopefully, all going well, we don't get any errors, and we see that 0 is sitting there waiting to be clicked. Cool, let's click this now. It's turned to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can sit and click all day. Now the cool thing is we can also put some if statements in here. So if we get to a particular number, we can actually change the background color. So I'm going to use an if statement, and I'm going to say, well, if the counter gets to 10. So if the counter gets to 10, so counter's equal to 10, then the background color then becomes yellow. We can add some more things to this. We can also change the text color of the counter as well. That if the counter gets to 25, then the view background color becomes purple and the counter.text color becomes white. So let's run this program now. So we'll go back and we'll rerun this, and yes, replace the existing program with a new one. So it just does a little update for us. We start clicking 8, 9, 10, change a color. When we get to 25, change a color again. So we can see that happening. It'd be nice to have a reset underneath so we can start again. So to do that, we're just going to go back. We're going to add a button. So just go to the top. Oh, wrong. I didn't have this selected. Go here. Make sure that's selected. Then click add. So you get that where before I was clicking on this side. So button field, I'm happy to have that. I'm going to put this down the bottom here. I'm going to change it to reset. Okay. I'm going to keep the same colors and everything. I'm just going to auto constrain, add missing constraints. You see it sort of lock in now. It's got 2 reference points. And all I'm going to do is make an outlet. So hold down the control, make an outlet up the top and call it btn reset. And then I'm going to make a function for it down here. And that's also going to call btn reset. And inside this, all I'm going to do is reset the counter to 0 and then display that. So let's just take this line of code that I've written before. That will work again. And we need to set counter then. Probably could type this out. I'm just a bit lazy. And then we can set counter to back to 0. So now when I click that button, it should reset it. So let's have a look at the final instance of the program. Let's start going, 8, 9, 10, reset, we're back to 0 and go again. And then when we get to 25. Now a couple of things you might want to do just to tidy the program off. When you reset, change the colors back to default. So come back down here and go white and white. White. And the text will be black. And now that should finish our program and make it look like a completed app. Alright, hope you found that useful. Give it a like, thumbs up, and I'll see you another time.